G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. We are here on Dry Arabia to watch two Conqueror 3s battle it out mono a mono. Spawning in the north of the map in the colour teal playing as the Abbasid dynasty, we've got Fei Chan. And on the south side of the map in the colour purple playing as the Chinese, it's Wan Feng. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dry Arabia. It is a pleasure to have your company. It is even more of a pleasure to see that beautiful Mangonel. Have a look at that lovely golden Mangonel. At least I think it's a Mangonel. It could be a Manganique, but I suspect it's a Mangonel. A little bit curious that it's in a Chinese town center, but I'll allow it. I will allow it. Now, if you haven't already, please go grab something. Oh, a little bit of a mistake right there. There we go. We fixed it up. Go grab yourself something to drink if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video. Put your legs up, and let's get down and dirty because this is a fun matchup. Personally, I love this matchup as the Chinese, just simply because of one unit, the Zhuge Nu. The Zhuge Nu is just a powerhouse for the Chinese in the feudal age, and it basically guarantees that you're going to have a lot of control if your enemy does dare fight you in the feudal age. So normally you can expect Abbasid players to try and get up to the castle age a little bit sooner. It's kind of rare to see them actually fight in the feudal age. I think at the very most, typically, and I say this typically because Fei's not a typical player. Fei is a very out-of-the-box kind of player, does things that we don't always expect, but it would just be to open a military wing, put a little bit of pressure to the Chinese player, and then go for a second TC behind it. That's what I would expect to see here. The alternative is that you go into an eco wing and look for 3 TCs to try and keep up with that 2 TC Song Dynasty from the Chinese. So we'll have to wait and see how she plays it out. House of Wisdom is up online. Expect to see that age up coming through shortly. We're right on board with Wan Feng though, see exactly what he's up to. So far, a decent number of sheep coming online, and yeah, it's going as you would expect here for the Chinese. I'm kind of curious what the build order was. It looks like 6 vils to food, then 2 to gold, and then the rest over onto food. So this is kind of like your standard English build order. It's a pretty quick age up as well. Should be looking for a 2-minute 15 age up here, so we'll have to wait and see. But on the other side of the map, we should have that click coming through for Fei shortly. 2:15. What timing do we have? You can see she's right on the ball there. 2:20, roughly 2:20. You can see it's going to be the same for Wan Feng. A little bit. I don't think the forced drop-offs have happened. There we go. Now got enough for it. 2:25, not bad. Looks like we're going to have the Imperial Academy, and it is going to be the Eco Wing that she opts for. I think that was the big question for me. Is it going to be Eco, or is it going to be Military Wing? So Eco Wing is definitely indicating to me it's probably going to be a 3 TC play. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can go for like 1 TC, open up with all of your eco-techs. So that's like get your wheelbarrow in, get your fresh foodstuffs online, and get your Fertile Crescent. And then you can add in like a stable if you want to do that as well. Get out a little bit of units to harass and then go into the 3 TC. Of course, you don't actually have to do the stable, but it's always nice to get a bit of harassment onto the Chinese because ideally you just don't want to let them boom freely. A lot of vils building this landmark, though. This is going to be a very quick age up timing here from Wan Feng. Looking at about a 3:15. Very, very quick. And expect to see the Imperial Official out immediately. There it is. Oh, this was a no Imperial Official opening. I didn't even realize that. So going for the no Imperial Official opening, you technically get 1 more villager out from doing this, but you do lose a fair bit of value in the early game. So I think it depends on how you want to prioritize it. I know Puppy Paw and Wham are both a big fan of this opening. I'd have to double check what Beastie's deal is and whether he likes it or not. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you do rush the landmark like Wan Feng has done here. And this way, right now, if this was a Chinese mirror, he would be up 1 villager. That would be the difference. But he would be down a certain amount of food here, and a certain amount of value that he would have been able to extract from that food would not be existent. Let's right on board with Fei, though. At the moment, her stone towards the front is only just having that mining camp put down on it. So she's got 155 gold in the bank, so it's most likely just going to be for your Fertile Crescent, together with your fresh foodstuffs. So that should be more than enough. No wheelbarrow needed here today. So we will see those 2 techs coming through very, very quickly. There's the Fertile Crescent and the fresh foodstuffs. Lovely to see. And everything going to plan at this stage. So the one thing that will indicate as to whether this will be 2 TCs or 3 TCs, and you can look for this in your own games when you're playing up against the Abbasid, is whether the town center is on the stone here or whether it's on the gold. If the first TC is on the gold, there's a good chance it's going to be 2 TCs. If this first TC is on the stone, I should say the second TC, the first expansion TC, but realistically the second TC. The second TC, if it is on the stone, then it is going to be a 3 TC play. But have a look at this. The scout did spot out the horseman. An immediate response comes in from Faye. It's going to be the barrack. So Faye going to be forced to play a little bit of feudal here. And have a look at Wan Feng, not even going into the Song dynasty, just going straight into a stable. Absolutely love the early aggression out of him. And going to be putting pressure on that stone. House is going to be coming up here as well, looking to extend that little network out. But for the moment, it's just going to be an idol on the stone. Manages to find, almost gets a sheep. Definitely not a bad little trade. It always feels terrible losing out those sheep. But this is going to put Faye in a bit of an awkward spot. Where does she gather stone from? She definitely can't come out here. She's going to try on this position. Of course, she does have the racks up now, so spears are only going to be a matter of time before they're online. There they are, the first one coming out here. Ideally want to avoid attacking the scout like she's just done just then. But it is only the 2. There's the 3rd horseman now coming out. Very early aggression from the Chinese player. I'm curious what the follow-up is here. Because I love this opening. I know it's a weird thing, but I love following this up with, get this, professional scouts. I feel like professional scouts from this position is really, really cool. Just because you're kind of like, you're playing one base, right? Like, that's the plan. Professional scouts, it's a little bit more of a focus on your economy, but you're taking advantage of the fact that you've gone for this stable. You're kind of playing into one base, and it just gives you that reliance of food. You don't really have to leave the base. But I mean, if you've got aggression like this out on the map, and you know that the enemy's trying to go for a second TC, do you really need professional scouts? Probably not. You've got that ability to take control of the map, and we can see the second TC is going to come down, but a bit of a weird spot here. I mean, technically it's not terrible because it does kind of allow you to leapfrog out towards those deer, out towards those berries eventually, extend your area of influence out in this direction. But the spears are going to be preventing any action from the horsemen. Another horseman going to be running around the back. Of course, the town center going to be able to protect these villages underneath. Plenty of range on this TC here for Faye. But the second TC will come online. So now Wan's got a decision to make. Do I go into Song Dynasty? Do I go into a second town center myself? Or do I just look to put the pedal to the metal in the feudal age? I mean, you could probably even justify a castle age into knights. That could probably work, but your enemy's already got the spears out. So do you really want to play around with that? Probably not. I mean, you could play palace guards, but then you're probably not going to have the economy for it. There's a lot of options available to you right now. It really just matters if you're going to choose the right one. And what the right one is, I don't know. I really don't know in this position. I think that doubling down here can be a bit dangerous just because the defense from the Abbasids is quite strong. They've got cheaper vills. That's important to remember. They've also got a cheaper barrier to entry on their town center. So the amount of resources they've invested compared to a normal civilization is a lot lower for this second TC to actually pay off. If we take a look at the vills, you'll see that it's 32 food per villager. So this basically means every minute, instead of spending 150 food per town center on villages, you're only spending 96. So you're looking at an extra 54 food every minute from both of these TCs that they're generating. On top of that, the town center itself is significantly cheaper. You're talking about 105 less stone, 120 less wood. So all in all, you're looking at like what? 225 extra resources in your back pocket, which can obviously be translated straight into units. And those extra units could be the difference between the push succeeding or the push failing. And that's exactly what Faye wants to achieve. Barbican now going to be coming up as well over on this west side. Interesting positioning here from Wan to be going into this Barbican. This Barbican is very out of the way. If this Barbican was coming up right here, I would 100% support this. But this is a very low percentage Barbican. I feel like this Barbican will probably get off a single shot all game, and it will be from a scout that oversteps its mark a little bit. It feels very curious to be out here, whereas like this Barbican here would prevent raids for the rest of the game. It would be very integral on the defensive position. But speaking of defense, we're right on board with Faye as the push begins to come to shove. Archer number starting to build here as well. No upgrades from the blacksmith just yet for the Chinese offensive. Obviously Faye not yet able to pick up any either. She's already gone for the farms as well. Triple farms. Keep in mind, she's obviously got Fertile Crescent, which means they're not as expensive, these farms. They still are wood that you're investing into a resource that you ideally don't want to have to do. And this is largely because of the aggression coming out here from Wan Feng. You could look to try and come towards the back, but obviously the scout on the backside will spot that. The fact that there's already horsemen out, they're able to run around. It would be a very dangerous decision. But have a look at this. Already the numbers coming through from Faye are looking marvelous on this defense. Spear's able to clean up the battering ram, and Archer's able to clean up the enemy archers or the Chinese archers, and it's really not even a discussion at this stage. Somehow Wan Feng is still ahead on the Vil count. I've got no idea how that's even possible. Been on 2 TC for a while, and Song Dynasty only just came through. What is the go here? Has Faye just not had the resources to double pump from TCs? Perhaps that's the play, because she hasn't lost any vills. I don't know exactly what's been happening here, but I would suspect it's probably that she has gone idle. Maybe didn't have enough resources to be pumping vills. And this is something that happens quite often, especially when you're defending early pressure like this, is you say to yourself, I'm not going to be producing from both town centers. Instead, I'm going to make units. It's quite often that you do that. I say quite often. It's quite rare that you do that, to be honest. But it's definitely a meaningful decision that should be made in the early game. But now Spears should look to defend. Unable to survive or unable to keep that one vill alive. So now total of 2 vills getting taken out. But Spears doing a decent job. Phalanx upgrade, I think, has come in. Indeed, it has. So Phalanx going to provide a little bit more range. You can see the spears at the back able to actually target the cavalry here. Faye feeling good about herself, right? She's got the second town center up. She hasn't lost a huge amount of vills. There was a battering ram. She was able to take that out. Definitely feels like she's in a good spot. That is for sure. Now I'm going to be looking to secure her food out here. Things going well for her. Let's check in with Wan, though, and see how things are for our Chinese player. So Song Dynasty is online. Really important because that's going to increase that villager train time, or rather decrease that villager train time. And still we see quite a lot of units coming out. And finally, it's going to be the Zhuge Nu. This is the most powerful unit that you can make up against the Abbasid dynasty. Just simply because it allows you to counter everything that they make. Horsemen, you can counter them. Archers, you can counter them. Spearmen, you can counter them. Camels, you can counter them. Absolutely everything. Destroys, or the Zhuge Nu destroys absolutely everything. I mean, horsemen, it's arguable in the sense that if you've got the same amount of resources invested into horsemen and you've got +1 ranged armor, you should be able to take out the Zhuge Nu. However, it's rare that that actually happens because, as mentioned before, Faye's investing resources in villages. She's investing resources in farms, whereas Wan is just, at the moment, investing resources in army, a little bit into the Song Dynasty as well. Arguably more in the Song Dynasty than on the town center through for Faye. So now that push is going to be coming out. Zhuge Nu numbers going to be feeling good. +1 ranged attack is through. No ranged defense just yet for Faye. So this is actually quite a dangerous time for her to push. If I was Faye right now, I would be saying, hey, don't push right now. Instead, fall back and try and get that +1 ranged armor. You can see the blacksmith is coming up. So I would suspect that's probably what she's going to be looking to do. Get that blacksmith online. And we can see now villagers nowhere to be seen on these berries as the push. Oh my gosh, they're nowhere to be seen on the vills, but on the berries, but they're right on the deer, unfortunately. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, the push is starting to come out from Faye, just being very annoying. I think, if anything, just trying to draw these units back away from the front of her base so that she can get access to a little bit of food. It looks like a castle age attempt might be coming through from Faye as well. She's still got plenty of military out, but we see the Zhuge Nu together with the archers just looking to try and hunt. I suspect villagers is going to be the go-to here. Now, I can hear some big stomping upstairs, so if you guys hear that on my mic, I'll just let you know. That's my little man. He's 2 years old now, and he likes to stomp. He also plays basketball. We've got a little basketball hoop up there, and he dunks everything. We've got, like, monster trucks. He will slam dunk the monster truck through the ring. It makes a loud noise. Just giving you guys the heads up if you hear anything. Just know that it's not me, like, clanging the microphone. Like, oh, I'm dying here. No, it's not the case. All right. A little bit of a fight happening on both sides of the map here. You can see that the Faye is going to be pulling away. And then also on this north side, the defense is going to be happening pretty easily. A nice, successful defense, and I think this was a pretty smart move from Faye not to fall back despite not having her +1 ranged armor. In fact, going for +1 ranged attack before ranged armor, I'd say it's a little bit of a mistake up against the Zhuge Nu, but that age up is going to be coming through shortly for her. In fact, there could be an age up on both sides here. Interesting to note that Wan's obviously been off gold for a little bit here, as Faye has been annoying with her units, but the numbers are starting to really shape up for Faye. And look at this, just throwing away vills here unnecessarily. 1, 2, 3, 4 vills that went down at the very least, just picking them up for free. And that's exactly what Wanfang wanted. So 13 vills getting taken out now. Wanfang holding that villager lead despite only having the 1 TC. So definitely a bit of a mistake there from Faye. Vills jump inside the outpost, firing off towards the wolf. One vill might get caught out of position, but it looks like the numbers on the defense should be fine. 27 Zhuge Nu, going to be more than enough to hold this as long as those vills get out, and indeed they do. Evacuating out the back, able to hold themselves nice and safely next to that Barbican. But the Zhuge Nu numbers are looking good. The only issue that Faye's going to have is with this age up. It takes a long time for the Abbasid to age up, so there's going to be a pretty good window here for Wan if he wants to get a Zhuge Nu push going. Nice little kiting from Wan here. Wants to be using the attack move. Looks like he's not going to have too much of a problem with the numbers. Wants to try and get these Zhuge Nu up on top of these archers, but they are a little bit slower. That's the one thing to note. 1.25 movement speed versus 1.12. So just a tad slower. So you want to try and get on top as much as you possibly can. Another counterattack coming in. Gosh, this is so annoying. I hate this. I hate playing against people who do this, because all I want to do is I just want to fight you down the middle, and you're distracting me and attracting me to the edges, and I just can't stand it. Just can't stand it. Very, very frustrating. Battering ram going to be coming up for Faye on this east side. Very, very cheeky from her to do that. But remember, the longer she delays this attack by the Zhuge Nu, the better it gets for her, because we know the secret behind this. It's Castle Age. That's the plan. Once she gets to Castle, it's simple, right? She just makes Gulams. They will chase down the Zhuge Nu. She makes Lancers. They will kill the Zhuge Nu. Or she can go into a Mangonel, which will obviously do very well against those Zhugs. But for the moment, it's still going to be 1 TC for Wanfeng. Plenty of vills on gold, so it could be a little bit of a play towards Castle Age. Zhuge Nu moving through once again, able to pick up a couple more kills. 14 worker kills so far. Wanfeng definitely committing right now to this aggression inside the main base. Not going to be able to find any vills for the moment. Units here. Keep in mind, reinforcements should be able to further bolster this defense from Faye. As the vills do get moved out, they've got back gold over here if she wants to go for it. But so far, just looking to chase away these units. A couple of them idle, and it really feels like all the attacks that Wanfeng have done would have been successful if Wan just committed to them. It really feels like, you know, if you, instead of going for that one battering ram early, like, let's just go for a whole bunch of Zhuge Nu and just go for like 4 battering rams or 3 battering rams. Take out the second TC, take out the landmark, stop that age up from coming through. That to me is what should be happening. You know, just rally out those reinforcements towards the middle. That's the way I like to play it. But not going to be the case here. Battering ram, unfortunately, look how much damage those Zhuge Nu are able to do. It kills them in about, what, 4 or 5 volleys that was. But military wing now going to be coming through for Faye. Important to note that composite bows is the main attraction here to the military wing. Keep in mind that with the military wing, she'll have access to 2 camel riders upon age up. These guys aren't particularly scary. The big attraction, though, is composite bows and, of course, boot camp for that little bit of extra health. But the main attraction is composite bows. So in the transition period here, it's instrumental, it's paramount that Faye continues to make units. She can't just stop making units because she's aging up. It takes a long time to age up, 100 seconds to age up. So you need to keep that unit production coming here. Otherwise, you will potentially lose out quite a bit in that mass size. You can see Wanfeng still pumping 100% Zhuge Nu at this stage of the game. All of the archery ranges beautifully positioned around the Imperial Academy. Everything going to plan so far, but a lot of units back in the base. You can see these, ideally you want them rallied out towards the enemy base. We want to start seeing that massive of battering rams getting built up, but we're already 17 minutes into the game. This just feels a little bit too late here. With the age up coming through as well for Faye, she'll be looking for a couple of key upgrades. I've already mentioned composite bows. The other one that's really, really important is +2 ranged armor. And then the final upgrade that she'll want is veterancy. So it's going to require a lot of gold, but she's got all of that gold stockpiled ready to go. So expect as soon as she's aged up to hit all 3 of those upgrades. And then ideally you want to wait for those upgrades before you fight. So you see how she's moving forward right now? This is always really dangerous to do. You just want to let the Chinese player do their thing until those upgrades come through. Here we go. Age up comes through. 3rd TC also here for Faye. Veterancy, +2 ranged armor. Let's see the composite bows as well, please, Faye. There they are, coming through now. So she's got all 3 of those upgrades. Exactly what she needs. This is the key to the defense here, because the Zhuge Nu are more numerous than the archers on the defense. You're outnumbered basically 3-2 at the moment. Archers are going to try here. Keep in mind the camels don't have a lot of ranged armor, so they're going to get absolutely obliterated by the Zhuge Nu. Zhugs are in a good spot. The one thing to note, though, is a lot of those reinforcements aren't all the way in just yet. I don't know exactly where they've gone, but it feels like the number is not the best here, despite it showing that it's actually quite decent. We've also got some Gulams starting to come out, still not yet receiving those upgrades, and it just feels like, you know, Wan has attacked at the perfect timing, yet still somehow Faye is defending this. This is impressive from Faye. The fact that she took this fight and is able to win, it's impressive. I'm really impressed. The fact she was able to hold that with basically feudal age units is, it's kind of wild. That's kind of wild. Well done to Faye. And now, this is the hard part for Wanfeng, because at this stage of the game, your enemy is now scaling into the late game, because we know that they're on 4 TCs apparently Fei's gone for now. 4 TCs. So I think at the very least, Wanfeng should be looking to add in a second TC. Might make a bit of sense here for them. But they're also going to need to age up. They've got a lot of gold in the bank, so maybe pulling off a couple of vils off gold and just making sure that you've reallocated those resources. But getting that second TC up is going to be really, really key here for Wanfeng. So we'll have to see exactly what the play is. I also think moving into Castle Age for that Nest of Bees is going to be instrumental in this defense. Could be tough fighting up against. I definitely don't think the Feudal Age Zhuge Nu is going to win out against the veteran archer with +2 ranged armor. No +2 ranged attack just yet, but obviously has the composite bows upgrade. Have we got boot camp in as well? No boot camp just yet, but a nice little bit of extra health. 15% on 80. Definitely a meaningful amount. Probably allows you to survive maybe 1, maybe 2 volleys from the Zhuge Nu, so it is meaningful. Astronomical Clock Tower now going to get put down. Still no second TC just yet for our Chinese player. Zhuge's coming up. Keep in mind, 22 vils have been lost so far by Fei. 0 vils lost by Wanfeng. So Wanfeng on the defense, a really strong defender, making sure no vils have gone down, despite those annoying little attacks from the side. Another thing to note is that we've got no walls that have come out from Wanfeng. Just all the responses have been very pure. You know, I spot the units, I pull my vils back, I make sure that I'm safe. Age up now comes through. We can build a Nest of Bees. Rax is going to get dropped as well, probably moving into Palace Guards. Let's take a look and see what we've got. It's going to be crossbows. Interesting decision. I guess Gulam is the expectation. Indeed, Gulams are starting to come online. The Zhuges do okay against them, but remember, once +2 ranged armor comes through, which it does, your Zhuge Nu are only going to be doing 1 damage a pop to them. So you really want to make sure that your Zhuges are focusing on the enemy backline. Vill's finally going to go down. No. They get out of there. They've got their textiles upgrade, by the way. No textiles through for Fei just yet, even though she's lost 22 vils, no textiles. Meanwhile, for Wanfeng, hasn't lost a single vil, but of course has the textiles. Very impressed, Wan. Oh, there we go. First one of the game. Second one of the game does go down. Third one, not quite just yet. But the Barbican about to get off its first shot. Nope. Barbican's still yet to get off its first shot, by the way. Can you imagine if we had the Barbican over here? You know, we'd be getting some decent value out. Springald now coming online. And this is just a really smart move by Fei, having the foresight to go, okay, my opponent's playing Chinese. They've probably aged up with the Astronomical Clock Tower. Let's get a Springald. They're probably going to be making a Nest of Bee. But of course, we know the truth. We know that there's no Nest of Bees even in the queue at the moment, let alone on the field. So there is, you know, foresight's one of those things where you can definitely see what your opponent might try and do. Whether they actually do it is a different kettle of fish. All right, well, checking back in over on that east side. No walls coming down. We just mentioned this. The fact that you've got walls on that north side for Fei, but for Wanfeng, there is absolutely nothing. Vil count starting to go a little bit crazy for Fei as well. She's overtaken Wanfeng by an absolute country mile. Up 25 vils now. I guess, to be fair, 8 vils have gone down recently. Imperial Official also going to be going down, carrying 80 gold. You hate to see it. But she survives. She survives. Almost farm transition complete. Remember, we always want to try and max these bad boys out. 36 of the best farms in the world. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. It's nothing quite like it. Wall's going to come down now on this front side. I love the wall to the single tree here. Definitely keeps you... You know what? You've closed it off. I would have preferred a little bit of a smaller onion to start out with, just around here. A little bit easier to control. Don't know exactly what happened here. There are still some holes in the walls that will need to be fixed, but Springalds, Mango, still nothing for Wanfeng when it comes to siege. No Springald, no Nest of Bees, and that's part of the reason why it's so nice upon aging up to the Castle Age to start that production immediately and really just keep the ball rolling, because you're limited with how many clock tower units you can make. It used to be that you were able to supervise the Astronomical Clock Tower. They were the good days with the Chinese. You could supervise the clock tower and you could just pump out these extra HP clock tower, Nest of Bees, Springalds, and you could defend very easily. But in this day and age, it's just not possible. You don't have the option. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Zhuge Nu looking for some vils to find. Not going to be able to spot out just yet anything of value. Only running into a couple of Gulams. But they will make their way behind enemy lines and now should be able to penetrate through the small HP values of the villagers. On that south side, though. Looks like the Barbican gets off its first shot. I think at this stage of the game, we can probably justify sticking around with the Barbican a little bit more. 24 minutes, it receives its first defensive value into the game. No Springald in placement just yet. So it could be the case that the Ghulams look to try and siege it down. Meanwhile, that main mass of units for Faye will fall back for the moment. Does she think about going Imp? She definitely could. She is maxed at this point in time. Military Academy going to be coming through for her now. Barbican slowly working down on the Ghulams. No second TC still for our Chinese player. Down 40 villagers in this game. That's the power of the triple TC or the quadruple TC threat from Faye. Beautiful little base she's got starting to build up over here as well. Moving out onto the map. Vills out on Deer. Sacred Site starting to get picked up. Relics taken. She's got 3 of them already. And now the Palace Guards together with a couple of Zhugs going to be moving out towards this gold vein to protect the Barbican. Still no Springwood emplacement on the way. Culture Wing, it's going to be. It's Faye going to Imperial Age. She'll have access to some techs, some cool techs. The main one that you're going to be looking for, medical centers. A really, really nice technology. One of the great things about medical centers is it heals all the units around your buildings. I think it's specifically the TCs and the keeps. Yeah, TCs and the keeps. But it doesn't discriminate on whether those units are in combat. Because normally that's the one thing that, you know, you will be inhibited by. If you're playing the English with the Abbey of Kings, you can bring your units underneath the Abbey of Kings aura, but they have to be out of combat for them to be healed. The great thing about the healing centers is it doesn't require that. You've also, of course, got the preservation of knowledge, which is also nice. It's coming pretty late in the game here, but your technology is starting to cost quite a lot. So if you can get that before you get your all your upgrades at the blacksmith, it can be a nice little cost reduction. But moving forward, crossbow numbers are looking decent here for Wanfeng. 39 crossbows, double sprinkled on the defense here. Should be enough to take out the enemy siege. Ideally, you just want to take out the Mango first, and Mango gets a good shot on the Vills. 17 workers taken out this game compared to the 25 of Faye. Springwood moving up a little bit too close for comfort. Can't get the shots off and does go down. In fact, losing both of those Springwoods. Not the best case scenario, that is for sure. Any more in queue? One more in queue. Mangonel going for a shot off the top rope. It's a beauty. Hitting about 20 units in there. Let's see if a second one's going to line you up. And indeed, the Mangonel comes in. It's only going to hit a couple Palace Guards, though. A little bit of splits coming in right now. I feel like I'm watching the gymnastics. Except you know I'd much rather be watching the breakdancing. It looks like these Palace Guards are going to come through, do a little bit of dancing on their own and see if they can break through that back line of the Mangonels, getting off a shot before it goes down. All 3 Sacred Sites taken. Relic gets sniped away. Looks like he's just going to bring it a little bit, or rather, she's just going to bring it a little bit closer and see if she can get a Wallalow off. But unfortunately, all those ranged units manage to keep it alive. Wanfeng, I tell you what, things are looking okay. The only problem is you're behind on eco. You're behind 50 eco units. You're behind 3 relics. You're behind 3 sacred sites. You're behind an entire age. Faye is in prime position right now to take this game. Wanfeng started off with aggression. I just feel like it should have been. It should have been me. That's a Backstreet Boys song, right? No, it should have been Zhuge Nu a little bit earlier. Would have loved to have seen that. I think the opening with the spears, or rather with the horsemen, was very nice. Force your opponent into spears, but then moving into Zhuge Nu would have been the key factor in that one. But upgrades now starting to come online for Faye. Have a look at this. We've got the elite Ghulam upgrade, elite archers coming through. Also going to have that precision crossbreeding coming in. Actually, no, that's agriculture. I've made a mistake. We've got agriculture coming through, which is the unique eco tech for the Abbasid. Precision crossbreeding, not yet through. Meanwhile, over towards this west side. Interesting position on this wall, especially considering there's no gates just yet. More units moving towards the middle, though. Faye, keep in mind those elite upgrades about to come online. And once they do, this is where it's going to get very difficult for Wanfeng on the defensive. Keep in mind, Wanfeng, this entire game has just been on 1 TC. And on 82 vils now, it would be more than 100 vils now if it weren't for the fact that they've lost 21 vils to Faye throughout this game. Boiling oil now going to be coming in. More and more crossbowmen being added to the defense. You can see up to 40 crossbows now, but those archers going to be doing very well against them. That extra attack speed coming in from the composite bows, the elite upgrades as well. Definitely going to be helping out, and we can see +3 ranged attack is already in now for these archers. So a huge amount of damage coming in. But it does look like Wan will be able to hold for the moment. As the push does peter out when it comes to sacred victory potential. All sacred sites, I think they're just being held at the moment for gold. It doesn't look like there's a real you know, a real chance for victory at this stage. But of course, Faye is on stone. She's got 180 stone a minute at the moment. Definitely not enough to be throwing down keeps readily. But she could look to try and get some keeps out here. Maybe secure up these edge case scenario sacred site potential swings. Meanwhile, Wanfeng going to be looking to secure the big gold in the middle. Definitely important. I'd love this keep to be a little bit closer to the central sacred site. Just giving you that leverage to challenge any sacred sites in the future. But it's going to be tough depending on how many vills you bring out here. 9 vills, I don't like it. I feel like if you brought 20 vills out, we'd be absolutely fine. But you've sent all your units back as well. The keep gets cancelled immediately. Vills evacuating out. And you can see the response here from Wanfeng is just going to be to return slowly back to the center of the map. I'd love to see more vills brought out here. Securing up this gold is going to be instrumental in Wanfeng staying in this game. But have a look at this, a little bit of an attack once again on the east side. Faye, notorious for just constantly harassing on the edges of the map. I hate this kind of stuff. It just frustrates me immensely, you know, because I'm over here focusing my big army and it's like, yeah, get out of here. How many units should I send here? Well, now there's a Mangonel, so I can't send my crossbows, so maybe I should send knights, or I'll send a springled and then I'm not looking and I send the springled and then it dies to the Gulams and now the Mangonels reign supreme, you know. It's just the little things that just get you off. Not get you off. It's the little things that get you upset. Let's rephrase that, shall we, Drongo? Sorry, guys. That was an interesting Wololo. Did you hear that? It was a Wololo instant death, and then it just stopped. It just stopped halfway. It was almost like my sound had disconnected. Keep once again coming up. Only 6 vills here building this, so technically Faye could just shoot down the vills, and that's exactly what's going to happen down to 3 vills here. You can see her focusing them down. That's going to be 2. 1 vill remaining. Keep gets cancelled. You know, you got to remember, with these Chinese vills, they do build faster, but when people realize that, sometimes they'll send less vills than they should be towards locations of importance, like this gold vein. Once again, Wanfeng going to be sending too few vills to the center of the map. 84 versus 127 vills. The eco count right now heavily in favor of Faye as she continues to push forward. And I think at this point, she can just push the agenda. She doesn't need to pussyfoot around this one. She can just get in here and just start spamming. Hand cannoneers numbers are starting to come out as well. She's up to 4 of them. 9 Gulams on the field. Camel Archers also going to be joining in. Always dangerous against Zhuge Nu, but not a whole lot of them out at the moment. Only the 2 Zhuge Nu. But yeah, I think at this stage of the game, all you really need to do from Faye's perspective is to just keep trading with the enemy. You've got much greater economy. You've been on 4 TCs for, what, about 10 minutes now, 12 minutes now, somewhere in that region. So your economy is in a very good spot. And you've taken out a fair few enemy vills. Now going to be looking to snag away gold from her opponent. There's quite a bit of gold back here. Keep in mind that Faye's already run out of her own golds. Meanwhile, towards the front, Incendiary is now going to be coming online here as well for Faye. Vill's going to get picked off. Sacred sites still under, or still approaching victory. And there's the Great Wall Gatehouse going to come in, but it looks like a little bit of a mistake here from Wanfeng. You've got too many vills trying to build it. There's only about 8 vills that can actually build the Great Wall Gatehouse from this side. So you want 8 on this side, 8 on that side. And if these walls are finished, then you can get some vills up on the top. But you know what's going to happen right here? Indeed you do, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's going to be it. There ain't no way it is going to be allowed. I suspect Faye is going to be causing a little bit of a tap out right here. You can see Wanfeng gonna try and stick to it, but no sirree Bob, it ain't happening. Ladies and gentlemen, the game is called in favor of Faye. Go check her out. I'll leave a link in the description of where you can watch her live. And of course, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.